Defense Hockey Podcast, Stanley Cup Finals Edition. I'm Webby alongside CP and producer Ted in the booth. We are going to break down the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers Game 1. What a hot start that was. High pace to begin with, but once things settled in, it felt like Florida was actually the more dominant team, which I was pretty surprised about, to be honest with you, because the way that Edmonton's been playing every other team so far this playoffs, I really thought that they were going to be the offensive juggernauts. That is not what happened tonight. What are your initial takeaways on this one, CP, and where do you want to start?
I don't like my initial takeaway is like defense is making a comeback. It seems like we're building on strong decors are taking over this league. And I mean, I guess Bobrovsky's like I would include him. It's everything from the blue line back that's having a comeback. So everyone always emulates whoever wins the cup. And Vegas last year had really strong decor. And again, like Florida plays more of a team style defense. And, they're riding high on a good goalie, and that, he's part of the team too. So yeah, that's just my biggest takeaway. And I did kind of like, you can feel the Edmonton offense pushing, but they just kind of faded as the game went on in my mind. Like, I'm not sure if it was like the physical play, the between the whistles type of like the things that Florida is good at that they kind of was wearing on them. But yeah, or it could have just been that, you just get kind of from all the, like you feel like you're having success. Yeah. And you're just getting frustrated because the goalie's just, stopping everything. And I did feel like some of the grade A chances, they didn't give their best effort. Like, like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, when a goalie is like sprawling and you just don't hit the net, like, that's a problem. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunate bounces. I mean, high danger chances for were 18-6 tonight for the Oilers. They won every fancy stat category that I look at, and
Right.
like Corsi 4, shots 4, high danger chances 4, expected goals 4. They dominated, so that means absolutely nothing. You're right. It has to do with defense and goaltending, and Bobrovsky just fucking ruined the Oilers' night tonight. That is what happened. 33 save shutout for goalie Bob. He was the reason that the Cats took game 1 100%. Scoring chances in the first period were 12-4 for the Oilers, and Bob just didn't let a thing through. He hasn't let a goal through his 5-hole all playoffs. 17 games.
Wow.
He's played.
Isn't that insane? Nuts? That's insane. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I love that stat. That's actually so cool.
That is a good stat.
Yeah. Wow. Goalie Bob.
Yeah. Based on their Bob. Like the attempts they were taking, like that makes sense because a lot of things were high. Like, I don't know, they seem to like the glove side. So like they obviously have that scouting report too. So that makes sense for sure. Yeah, and I agree. Like first period, I felt like, second period, if you saw the same thing from the Oilers, like they were gonna score. Like you could just to me it just felt like it was gonna turn, but
it did. It always felt like, man, even with 3 minutes left in the game, it felt like there's still a chance for it to turn. But he's been stopping pucks. He's allowed 2 or fewer in 10 of his last 11 games. So I mean, even if you do get chances, he's still like he's only allowed 2 in his 10 of the last 11, so it's not like he's gonna normally let in a lot of goals. And honestly, like I just don't know what to expect anymore. It's kind of amazing how we've gotten here with goalie Bob, when like 2 or 3 years ago I forgot the guy even existed, and when he brought him up, it was just like, ooh, that's a bad contract. That's really tough. And he's really bounced back in 2 years in a row. He's come back, and now he's putting up shutouts in the Stanley Cup Finals game 1. Like, and we're like, yeah, he's the reason. He's the guy. Just really amazing how he's turned it around. 2 or fewer in 10 of his last 11 games. Crazy stats we're pulling up about the 5-hole. It's just, I really did not see this coming when he was sitting in Florida 3 years ago, probably, and not very good. And they were bouncing back between kids and whoever else they had in net back then. It really is amazing to see how Bob's been playing, and he is 100% the reason that this team succeeded tonight, and probably he's one of the biggest reasons that they've succeeded thus far in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can concur. Like when the only times I talked about him were just like the worst contract in the league. But yeah, like bounce back. And I mean, like it's not like he lost the skill. Like the only way that he was like probably not going to find it is if his body was breaking down. But he was a great goalie. Like it was Columbus, right? That he was just like lights out. And tonight it was funny when they at the very end they gets the shutout. And the broadcast says just his third shutout in Stanley Cup playoffs. I was like, just the third, like that's a lot. You know, if you can get 3 shutouts in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like that's a friggin' goalie. So, yeah, he's definitely he's still like, I mean, it's crazy how much he gets paid still, but if you're gonna steal games, like no one's gonna talk about it. Like that's something that like if McDavid steals a game, like then everybody's talking about why he's worth so much, and like I can say the same for Bobrovsky.
Didn't he like win the Vezina before he signed that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I have to say something quickly here about the Florida Panthers goaltending coach. Okay. I just want to make this note really quickly. Rob Tallis, goaltending coach for the Florida Panthers. He's been there 8 years. He's also through his career worked with goalies like Luongo, Al Montoya, Tim Thomas, Jose Theodore, Dan Ellis, Scott Clemenson. Now, here's why I just wanted to bring this up. Rob Tallis is an Edmonton, Alberta native. So he's coaching Bob, who's shutting out, you know. I mean, he's worked with Bob through all of this, like you said, through the tough times, and I guess, you know, he's worked with him through to this point where he's shown him how to close up the 5-hole apparently. And yeah, shutouts in the Stanley Cup Finals against Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Stolarz was actually a good goalie for them too, as like when Bob wasn't playing very good. So yeah, like I mean, that's kind of on like the coach to me has a lot to do with like the backup goalie. I mean, he's got some work to do with Spencer Knight, their big prospect, but like with kind of success like that, I mean, he's in good hands. So that is funny though, like coaching against probably his childhood team. If you're from Edmonton, like that's. So 100%. It's probably the same feeling that when like Max Domi before he played for Toronto, and you know whenever he had to come and play against them, it's like this. You know, it's a mixed feeling, I'm sure.
So is that like you want to beat them more because you're from there, or you have a soft spot? Like I don't really. What are your emotions when you're going into those games?
I mean, personally, it would feel to me like you want to beat them more. I don't know though. Like, and also I just don't want to think about ever someone taking it easy in a game because it's against like the team they love. So yeah, I would hope that they just play harder.
No, not that you take it easy, but is it like they want it more, or is it just kind of like bittersweet?
Yeah, hard to say actually. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, I'm glad we won, but like the fan side of me, I guess I wonder how much fandom you lose when you get involved that deeply and with other teams and other players.
He had a playing career too.
Fandom.
He played in the NHL as well. Yes. So I'm sure. Yeah.
There goes your fandom.
There you go. Yeah.
It goes. I'm sure with all these years in it, it's probably out the window by now.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the other side of things, Stuart Skinner allows a goal on his first shot on a goal face for the 11th time this season. 7th in regular season, 4 in the playoffs. 4 in the playoffs, boys. The Edmonton Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Finals. Stuart Skinner has allowed a goal on the first shot of the game for the 4th time in 4 series. That's not good.
No, that's not good. I mean, he also wasn't it the first shot of the second period that he let in a goal too?
Yeah, so Verhaeghe scored the first goal of the series with his 10th of the playoffs, and he scored that on the first shot of the first period. The first shot of the second period was Erod scoring the second goal, and I mean, that was kind of tough because Erod was left all alone in front. Kane didn't really do anything about that, but yeah, still the first shot of the period 2 times in a row. Now, Stuart Skinner had a message, I guess he's interviewed. He's got a quote. That's what it's called. That said that he wasn't feeling, I guess pressure maybe so much. He was just looking forward to, I think it was playing like Mario Kart or something on the plane on the way down and just kicking some guys' asses on that because there's going to be a long flight. It kind of reminded me of the Alek Manoah, pressures for tires comment, and I wonder how much that he is actually feeling the pressure, or how much is that just shit luck.
Yeah, the problem with relating it to Alec Manoah is like his career went downhill after he said that quote. So hopefully it's not looking like
extremely downhill.
yeah, hopefully
I guess
it's
it's
not
just
looking that
scarred
way.
me, but
Yeah.
or like this is the movie, like shit, dog. Don't say things like that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. God.
I would think about pressure. If you're getting scored on the first goal, like first shot goes in, that has, I think, a way of relieving a little pressure in a way too, because you're like, well, we got that shit out of the way, and I've got Connor McDavid on my team, who's likely going to fucking score tonight. But unfortunately, they couldn't tonight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think you can settle into the game a bit, knowing that your team typically gets like 3 to 6 goals a game. So like if you can focus from there on in, like it's not the end of the world. And if your team can't score 1 goal, then it's not on the goalie, right? So you probably are right. Like there's a settling in there.
No, that's fair, but how much is it? How deflating is it, especially coming into that second period and you're down 1-0, and the first shot that the other team takes goes in the back of your net? Now you're not only just chasing 1 goal, you're chasing 2 goals. I understand you have an offensive dynamo of a team in Edmonton, but like I said, once things settled in after the first 5 minutes between Florida and Edmonton, it felt like Florida was gaining more offensive chances. They were dominating stronger in the offensive zone, where that's just not been the case for Edmonton in every other series that they've played so far. Once the game has settled in, it seems that Edmonton's the one that gets those high pressure breaks more often and heavier. Now, the second period, I mean, there was certainly pressure from them. There was lots, and I definitely thought that there was going to be a goal. But at the end of the day, it comes down to your confidence, and you're like, you go out there and you're ready to kick ass, and then the first thing that happens is bad, and you're even worse of a hole. You have to think that does take a bit of a toll on the offense themselves. You're gripping your sticks a little tighter. Now we need 2. We got to push, like those kinds of things. I think really take a place. They do hold some water in this conversation of why wasn't the offense as good. And I mean, it does put pressure on the whole rest of the team, him letting in those goals right away.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like I wouldn't put either goal on him. So like I'd put it on CC and Nurse, because both of them were on the ice for both of them. They both didn't play their assignments very well. Nurse just has to have a stick on the ice, and there's no chance on the second period goal. So like I don't know. I'd say yes, it's deflated. The second period goal, like no that takes the like wind out of your sails, especially because you feel like you want to come out and push. And you just had a good period, but it didn't go well. And then, all of a sudden. But, like, I wouldn't say it's on Skinner. Like, I think that the defense is what, like, messed it up for him there. So.
And I'm not saying they folded or they caved or anything like that, but, like, it's definitely deflating.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
They deflated as the game went on more and more and more, because I think, like you said, like, you see that it might not be happening for you tonight. So. Yeah, your chances aren't as good. Yeah, from there on, for sure.
And I agree fully. I think it's more on the team that deflating. Like I said, that settle-in thing is only, that can only go so far. Yeah, you're right. The team's now down, and again, starting the next period and scored again, you're like, wow, that is deflating. I see that for sure. But, man, like, we've got 2 teams here, and I've said this from the very start. I just want to throw this in. I've said this from the start of the year. I've said this last year. I said it 2 years ago when the Avalanche played Edmonton. I've always said Stuart Skinner is not a cup winner. I've said I wish I could pull the clips. I've said that in so many things. It's not going to happen. And it's come down to these 2 teams. We've got 2 teams left, boys, and they're both offensive powerhouses. They both have... Well, as we know, Florida has a little bit of a stronger decor, but Edmonton is not. They are not lacking. Like, they have a pretty good decor too. So what's it going to come down to? A goalie who's had 4 shutouts, you said, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, or a goalie who's let in 4 on the first shot? I don't know.
Is this also maybe like you changing your mind about your own team as well? Because you are the guy that says that, like, a crazy offense, like the goalie just has to be okay.
Yes,
like you don't have to have
trust that.
Goal.
I do trust that. But
why is it different for Edmonton?
Because Stuart Skinner is not a cup winner. Okay. I just don't feel that he's going to do it.
No, they have 3 good defensemen. Colorado had 6.
Yeah,
Vegas had 6.
Sure.
They both had mediocre goalies, but they had 6 good defensemen. And Edmonton's got 3 really good defensemen.
Who are the 3?
3 of them.
Who are you calling the
Bouchard, Ekholm,
Yes.
and I'm gonna give Nurse.
No.
They're the guys. They're the guys that are supposed to be. Besides
I'd put
that,
Broberg over Nurse. Like that
Broberg's
is
been a nice addition, eh?
Yeah.
Broberg, I did not expect that from him. He left. He went to the AHL. I did not expect him to come up and make contributions in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, like I said, Nurse is on the ice and a big part of the 2 goals going in. And
he's a big part of the team, though. Whether you like it or not, he plays a lot of minutes for this team.
That is true. And I do actually think that a lot of the criticism against him is unjustified because of, the tough minutes that he plays and everything. But it's funny, though, when you look at someone like Ekholm, who's been brought into this team for way less money and just provides so much more. Like Ekholm is so much more of an impact. And I think they have 2, really, they have an amazing top line D pair, but it does fade from there. And when you look at Montour being on the second pairing of Florida, that looks way better to me than Nurse, and Montour also has a better defensive team playing with him. So there's partly that, on one of those goals, McDavid's caught out of play too. So yeah, I don't know. There's a combination of things there. Defenses comes down to the forwards as well. And they do push a little bit too hard. And it shows when Florida gets opportunities from their defense where, Edmonton's just trying to create offense, just from their own zone, not really, a turnover in the neutral zone or something like that.
Connor was really trying to do it himself tonight, eh? He really did not want to take no for an answer. And I kind of feel like that he has the ability to create those game breakers, but I feel like he's pushing it a little hard, trying to, like you said, take it from their own end and create offense that way. To finish my last thought, it just comes down to that Edmonton doesn't have the defensive horses to run with a goalie like Stuart Skinner. Yeah. Jack Campbell was supposed to be really good for them, and that was the game plan, and that didn't work out. Now they're left with Stuart Skinner, and they won a whole bunch of games, and they got themselves to the Stanley Cup Finals with this guy, and I guess Calvin Pickard, because he played a couple games these playoffs, didn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
So, but he's here, and he's the guy now. It's just that I think that we all agree that we don't have faith in the situation because they do not have the defensive horses that the other cup winners with shitty goalies have had. Vegas.
That's well put. I gotta say, it's well put.
Colorado.
Yeah,
fuck,
Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean, Kemper, fuck.
Well, Kemper, no.
Was he an 898 or something? Wasn't he in the playoffs? He's a fucking whatever. And they won a cup.
He's a bigger name, but I mean, he's not better player.
No, exactly my point.
Yeah,
exactly my point. All right, so you got anything else on this one before we wrap up?
I mean, I just feel like this is a really big series for Brandon Montour, and if the Leafs are going to want him, if I'm going to want him as a Leafs fan. Honestly, though, like that was kind of joking, but when I watch a game, I'm always trying to find, extra. If it's not the Leafs, I'm trying to look for extra things to watch for to, keep interested. A little sprinkle of a bet doesn't hurt. Definitely piques my interest, but also I'm Brandon Montour is going to be a free agent, and so I am keeping my eye on him, and I do like what I see. It's just he might end up being the most overpaid, definitely defenseman of this free agency because he's probably going to be the most coveted. But he's proving that he deserves some money, but I'm not sure the Leafs are going to be able to spend it on him, especially with all the rumors that Mitch Marner's probably might be here next
hanging
season.
Around.
Yeah.
he's chilling, hanging around. So. Brandon Montour, so you want the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm cheering for Edmonton.
You want Brandon Montour to win the Stanley Cup?
No, I just want to see how he plays. It's more how is he worth the maybe $8 million? I'm just throwing a number out there, but $8 million or something that he might get. Is he really worth that versus a Brett Pesce who might be making $6 million, or Brady Shea, which I don't know what number he'll make, but yeah.
So who do you want on your team more in a hypothetical situation? And we're gonna forget that Corey Perry won the Cup in 2007. Do you want a guy who goes to free agency after winning the Cup and doesn't have that necessary hunger there to win the Cup anymore? Or do you want a guy like Perry who's been chasing it, maybe gets deep into the playoffs every year, has a taste of it, and has never won a Cup? Which guy do you think is more valuable to the Toronto Maple Leafs going forward?
I think that it's always valuable to have someone who wins cups. But doesn't Corey Perry have a cup early in his career?
That's what I said. We're gonna forget. Did you not listen to the first part of that question? We're just gonna forget that part.
I only listen to half the stuff.
Not that part, and then just focus on the rest. A guy like that who's hungrier. Like, do you think a guy after he wins it? Like, I'm thinking hypothetically, Montour wins the cup with the Panthers this year, goes to free agency. Does he lose some of that hunger? And now it's just like, well, what's my goal now? Well, get paid, right? Carl, we get him paid.
That would have been he's gonna get paid regardless. It's mission accomplished on that. Does he lose like motivation? Like, I don't know. I've never really thought about that. I've only thought about
motivation.
I think that's personal. Like, that goes person to person.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Each person. Like, if you were asking that about Nate McKinnon, no. He wanted to go fucking win the cup right away again. Like, he was like, can we just start playing hockey right now again? Like, I just want to do that again.
And the reverse.
Yeah, but he's got his group and his team, and he's the guy, and he's not Brandon Montour, who's like, yeah, we're probably not going to keep you, Brendan. Like, this is probably it.
And that's it. I think it's, like, you ask about different guys, and you'll get way different answers. But yes, I think Brandon Montour, if he wins the cup, and he thinks, hey, he's already, like, you're living in Florida and playing hockey. You're living the dream. You win the cup. That's a dream, boys.
Pretty juicy,
like, jeez.
I'm going to come back for 5.
My thought is thinking about Joe Thornton, though, who, like, that guy was dying to get a cup, and every quote and everything I saw from him was just the wrong thing and, like, not what I wanted to hear. So I think, like Ted said, and it's person to person, like, how hungry is that person to get 2 cups or 3 cups, like Nathan McKinnon, I'm sure, wants 6 of them. So, he'll be hungry forever. But yeah, someone who's, wearing flip-flops to the arena every day and gets a cup, and that sounds like someone who might take a discount just to stay in Florida.
Yeah, well, that's why Mac Chuck signed there. He wanted to be able to wear flip-flops to work. Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's wrap this sucker up. Oilers-Panthers again Monday at 8 p.m. Part of us or all of us will be here to come back and talk some shit about that game. That's a wrap on this one. Thank you for joining us for Split the Defense Stanley Cup Finals Edition. Please make sure to like this podcast on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. Subscribe to our YouTube. Rate us 5 stars anywhere else. And hey, if you really liked us, leave this thing a review. Find us on X at STDP Hockey and search for Split the Defense everywhere else to stay up to date with what we're doing. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Peace.